Anybody like to answer that? Yes, young adult. So coming to this school, obviously, like was stated before, I was usually the only black girl in class, and so during my discussions, there would be obviously a lot of offensive remarks. And it'd just be really easy to get angry every time someone makes a really dumb remark. One time I heard someone say that the Django movie, if anybody's ever seen Django, it's basically a movie that's based in the slavery era. And they said that it actually wasn't that bad, and Quentin Tarantino actually just exaggerated the whole film. But if anybody knows, slavery was that bad, and Quentin Tarantino actually spared the audience with a lot of the brutalities that happened. And like I said, I think it'd be really easy to just get angry every time, but I've come to see that when people say stuff like that, it's coming out of place not of malice, not malicious ignorance, but because they really don't know. They weren't taught these things in their schools. Their parents probably never talked about race ever. And I think the best response, at least for me, is to engage in discussion with them and talk to them and let them know these are the realities, and that these remarks that you make are actually quite offensive, and you need to be more sensitive to that. So.
Oh, sorry.
No, did you say something? Or I'm just hearing things.
Okay. So I can definitely answer this question, living with 3 white girls who have never really been very close to a black girl, like physically or, emotionally, socially, none of that. So a lot of times I think the number one thing that irks me is that whenever a black film comes out, they ask me if I've seen it. Like, have you seen Django? And I was like, well, first of all, the D is silent. And yes, I did. And I really enjoyed it. You should see it too. And then I get asked, like, have you seen 12 Years a Slave, Black Nativity? Even the black films I didn't even know were out, they asked me, have I seen them? But they never asked me about the other movies with all the other people in it. They never asked me if I've seen those or if I want to go see those films. I like white movies. I like the Mexican movies, the Asian movies, the black movies, the movies that were all up in there. I like it. So when I first got here, I was like young revolutionary. They used to call me like Black Panther girl in high school. So I was like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm taking all of USC. Let's go, And then when I actually had to live with them, like 24/7 white people, it was like, okay, you can't fight every battle, Sometimes you just have to let it go and be cool. And I have taken a lot of walks, like just straight up left the house. And what I realized is that now that I'm knowing them, getting to know them better, it's not coming from a bad place at all. It's just really that's how they were raised and that's how they think things are. And then one of my roommates said something to the degree of like, yeah, I know, well, when I was talking about racism, not racism, slavery and how long it lasted. And then she was like, oh, I didn't know it went on that long. Honestly, I didn't really think that she said the only reason that she knew that it went on is because she did her own research. Because growing up in school, she never learned about slavery. So yeah, I have to do it's at first semester, it was like every day there was a comment that they were saying that was like slightly offensive, and I just let it go. But some things when I feel like I can actually educate them properly and I'm in a calm setting, then I actually take advantage of that opportunity and just educate them. But if I feel like, it doesn't matter and they're not like, have you seen Django? All I can really say is that the D is silent. Yes, I did. I'm not even going to go there. So we're definitely growing, but dealing with ignorance, you just have to be very, very patient. And I realized that I didn't come here to like fight this racism battle. I came here to get my education. So
that's it. Let me tell you. 60 value, you better get that education. Let me tell you. Anyway, y'all know what that means, huh? Somebody got a question? Question, Tony?
Yes.
You can't. Sorry.
Huh? Oh.
No, I went like this. And
well, I'm loud. I'm
there.
really loud. But I kind of find what some people are saying interesting because my experience at USC, and I'm only a freshman, like.
Welcome.
So far, like most of the ignorance I experience is from black people though. Like I get like the reverse. Like I notice like in the dorm I get a lot of like light skin comments, or like I've even heard like this is really like ridiculous, but like I've sat in a room with a bunch of like people who identify as black, and I've heard someone say I fucking hate white people, and I literally just sit there like I don't know if it's reverse well I don't even like that term reverse racism. It's still racism, but like I noticed that like if someone who was not black were to say things like that, then like someone who identifies as black is like, wait, like let me correct you. But if it's the other way around, like a lot of black kids who hear other black kids say things like that, they just like don't say anything. Like they just sit there or like entertain it or like just like turn like a blind eye. Like I don't know, they just like don't say things like that. And like I always wonder like why is it hard for you to correct someone who's just like you? Like even though there was a struggle, if like there was one, because sometimes like some people I feel like hyper, like I don't know, they're sometimes hypersensitive, but like how do you go about like correcting people when it's like the other way around, like things that you usually don't hear? Like how would you fix that?
I actually, well, I mean, just in light of time, I wasn't gonna go into that, but based on this question, I think that's something that the black community forgets is our own ignorance, and it's not necessarily our own ignorance in terms of other races, but our own ignorance in terms of the things that we say. I think it's really interesting how you watch TV, like for instance, you like on Facebook, you'll see black women or black men, celebrities, being images posted, most prominently probably Kerry Washington with Scandal, and all these sorts of really derogatory comments come up about her, like, oh, she's just being this, she's just being a hoochie, like, da-da-da-da, that this is what she represents. And it's, maybe, I feel like sometimes the words that are used don't really speak to the conversation that's being had. Especially, I guess, again, this is me personally, the way black people try and quantify and sort of qualify using the N-word is always really interesting to me because it's, oh, I own this word. Well, why would you want to own a word that was used to put you down? I mean, again, that's a whole separate subject. We can have a whole panel about that. But I think to me, it's really interesting how, and I think, sort of to answer your question, the reason it's so hard for I think black people to look at that is because it's so easy to see the fault in someone else. It's really easy to see the speck in someone else's eye when you have, but it's really hard to see the plank in your own eye. And I think because of that, that was good.
Take a moment. Take a moment.
Bring it back real quick. I think because of that, it's really hard for black people to say, hey, we're doing wrong when we feel that we've been done wrong so much. So I really do understand where you're coming from, and I feel like the only way to respond to that is, again, responding to ignorance all the same, whether it's your people or it's people who are not your own race.
Gotta go right now. That was Trey Songz. Anyway, so next question. With all the scapegoating out there, how do you feel about white people enjoying black music, appropriating black mannerisms, and rooting for black athletes? My question would be, what are black mannerisms? But anyway, I digress. Anybody like to answer that? Maybe AD, Adobe? No?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it was a little long too. With all the scapegoating out there, how do you feel about white people enjoying black music, appropriating black mannerisms, and rooting for black athletes?
Yeah.
The Black Mannerisms thing, I don't like at all. Like, I think there was just an ASU party for MLK Day at a fraternity, and they all, like, they dressed black. So they wore, like, basketball jerseys and drank Kool-Aid and whatever. So that, I don't believe in the mannerisms things, but I don't have a problem with people rooting for their football teams and the athletes are generally black and listening to black music. Whatever you want to listen to our music, that's great. We love it too. That's great that you love it too. I think the problem is that if you're rooting for this basketball team and they're all black and you're listening to this music and it's by a black musician, the problem is that if you wouldn't let them into your home, if you don't befriend them, a lot of people I'm not gonna say people are all like, but a lot of times they draw the line, like these, I'm gonna root for these black people while they're on the court, but I'm not associated with them. I'm gonna listen to this music, but I'm not really associated with them. That's where I don't like it. If you're gonna, that's where, sorry, I can't really explain it, but that's what I don't like about that.
Asking, yeah, just sorry, real quick. Just asking what are black mannerisms, that's a really good question. And I feel like a lot of times people say, oh, black is this, black is that, black is this kind of music, black is red Kool-Aid, black is twerking, etc. And I was watching an interview that Nicki Minaj did, and she said, like, yeah, she was talking about how, because Ellen asked her, like, you know, Miley Cyrus is twerking and everyone's making a big uproar about it, but you've been twerking since you came out and nobody said anything. And she's like, yeah, it's because she's white. You know, when white girls do black things and everybody gets crazy. I'm like, oh, so now twerking is a black thing. So that, I think also, like, for the black community, we have to make sure that we don't try to say, oh, this is black. Yeah, it's twerking, especially something like twerking, which is not okay.
You gonna keep this last response?
All right. When I listen to that, I think the only thing valid about that question is the black athletes. That to say that I don't think there is something that is a black mannerism or, you know, like, or black music. What is black music? You know, I think what we're referring to possibly is what hip hop, rap, gospel even. Jazz.
Rock and roll.
These are the names of this music that, yes,
Technically every. Yeah, technically everything.
that perhaps a lot of blacks may listen to, but it's not something that I think we should call it black or black mannerisms. You know, I don't think they're just mannerisms adopted by our culture, but also several other cultures. A lot of urban culture. You know, I think these are, while at the same time, there are things that blacks own, that we have, that in a sense, to save our own culture is important, but there aren't, but I don't know, I just don't like the question. I don't like the assumption that you do this, you're black. You listen to this, you're listening to black music. You know, no, it's just music. It's just music that I happen to like. And I think if we, again, get rid of those negative stereotypes and start embracing it for what it really is, music, urban music, whatever, then we can, then it really shouldn't matter.
Thank you. How are you guys doing? Y'all good?
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, I noticed there's a lot of cookies too y'all haven't eaten yet. So feel free during this whole like talk to go eat some. There's some Doritos, there are chips, there are cookies. I know y'all famished. And it's free food too. Like, how often do you get free food? It's college is a struggle. But we'll keep moving on though. Why is there a stereotype about black sassy women? Where did the stereotype originate? And we'll take one comment for this. One. Oh no.
You. I know you want to. I'm down.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll try to talk really fast. I feel a lot of it has to do with media and the way that black women are portrayed in the media. If you look at it, and I've like studied film, so I study the roles that black women play, and see like the sassy black friend, like, girl, you gonna let her take your man, or you know, the it's always the sassy black friend or best friend, and it's not as common to be the lead role. And even when it is the lead role, like when Halle Berry played in Catwoman, she was like sassy, you know what I mean? So, and that word sassy, oh, it irritates me so much. So I think a lot of it is just media. Like anytime you see black women, just look at the way that they're portrayed, look at their character, look at the description of it. And I feel like if you see black women being sassy in movies, see it on magazines and making sassy comments, see it in commercials, see it on TV shows, and just that black sassy character, even like the black girl in Glee, you know, like just always she has to be sassy and say the sassy comments, which I'm sure she's a very sweet girl, and they didn't write her as a sweet black character, they wrote her as a sassy black character. So I think a lot of it has to do with media. Yeah, and a lot of people just assume that. And a lot of times I don't like it because I feel like I get set up. Like people say things to irk me and they know it's gonna irk me. And then when I respond, I'm like, oh, you're so sassy. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like you just asked the irritating question. So,
Okay, so as a white person, I sometimes feel like it is assumed by other black people that I am a racist. So I feel like I have to watch my every gesture so that it is not misinterpreted. Am I right about this perception? I would like to just relax. Living on the edge. So. And again, I'll change.
Andrew, was that your question?
Are you stressed out, bro? You want to do it, Dom? Are you stressed out, Dom?
You're all of it, bro.
Oh, okay.
Okay, one more time. As a white person, I sometimes feel like it is assumed by other black people that I am a racist. So I feel like I have to watch my every gesture, I'm sorry, and so it's not misinterpreted. Am I right about this perception? I would like to just relax.
Well, personally, like, I don't think every white person is a racist. Yeah, I think there are racist white people, though. But I mean, I know because we're like up here talking about how you need to be like kind of how white people or Asian people or whoever should be more sensitive just to like our culture and like asking me, like saying I don't like someone who likes gospel. So I understand why you'd be like more defensive to like not say something offensive, but I think that I lost my train of thought. But there's like no need to like really feel like or tense or anything. Like I think you know, at the end of the day we all make mistakes. We might say something offensive, but there's no need to like if you felt like you hurt somebody or wronged someone, just apologize or whatever. But there's no need to be at ease. Like we're not gonna like punish you or something. You know, like we're people. We make mistakes too. We understand that, and it's all out of love. So.
Okay, so we're gonna go through the last couple ones pretty fast. Yep. So time for a fun question. So speaking of white people,